Rip. I just got Letho'd by Letho. I can't believe it. I'm the man who Lethos. I don't get Letho'd, I Letho. Guess what goes around comes around, huh? Hey guys, what's up? It's Z-Swigs. I'm here with my first Gwent video, and today we're going to talk about the Letho deck. So this Letho deck here is probably more classified as a meme deck than more of a competitive deck. You can definitely use it when you're climbing the ladder. It'll probably get you to the high teens. It probably won't get you to, rank 21, but it'll get you to the high teens. It's a pretty good deck. It has some weaknesses, but its strengths are really fun. And I don't claim to be the world's best Gwent player, but I do claim to be the world's most fun player at Gwent. And this deck is just a lot of fun, and I'm going to show you a little bit about it today. So the Letho deck here, of course, is using Nilfgaard faction with Emir Emrys as the leader, and Letho is special because he does a couple things. The first thing he does is that he will banish units to the 2 units to the left and the 2 units to the right of his card are banished. And banished means they're removed from the game, which means that they don't go to the graveyard, they don't go back to the deck, they can't be played again. It's like they never existed. They're completely removed from the game. And that's great for things, that have a death wish or that can be resurrected later when you're playing Skellige. Letho gets rid of those cards completely from the game, and that's a pretty awesome trait. He can also be played as a spy, and when he's played as a spy, he does the same thing. He'll eat 2 cards to the left and 2 cards to the right. He'll banish all 4 of those cards, and then he'll reset his power to 1. And then as he does that, whether he's spying or not, he will absorb their power. So this comes in handy if you're playing him on your side. Say, for example, I'm playing these pikemen, and I use a Thunderbolt potion, and then I use Cynthia, and then I have 45 points here or something between those 4 cards, and then someone plays White Frost. Well, I can put Letho in the middle of those 4 cards, banish those cards from the game, but then Letho absorbs 45 of those points, and Letho becomes a gold card, immune to weather, immune to most resets, and he'd have a power, of 52. And so that gives him an advantage on your side because it kind of gives a gold protective barrier around some boosted cards. And of course, there are some cards that counter golds that are boosted. Dimeritium Bomb, which is a big key to this Letho deck that I'm building, is one of those examples, and that's what we're going to use later on against the enemy. So I'm going to show you a couple videos here of how Letho works. Before I get to that, I want to talk about the deck in general. So the key to the Letho deck and why it's not really a full competitive deck is because if you don't draw Letho and Dimeritium Bomb both, then the Letho deck really doesn't work the way you want it to. Now, if you get one or the other, you can still salvage a win most of the time, but just in case you can't, you have to build a deck that will win by itself without relying on Letho. And an example of this, what I've done is I've built a spy deck for my Nilfgaard. So I've brought in, Alba Pikeman with give me 15 points right here, but it's mostly based around spies and my Imperial Brigade cards, which gain 2 points every time you play a spy. So the way that works is if I played an emissary here, for example, and I already have an Imperial Brigade, or I play it later, the Imperial Brigade goes from 6 to 8, because every time you play a spy card, it boosts your Imperial Brigades by 8, no matter if they're on the board, or when they deploy, they also take that on. So by playing these 4 spies right here, these cards go from 6 to 14, and then you can even boost with the Ambassador another 20, and so you theoretically could have 48 points between these 2 cards. And then say I don't grab the Dimeritium Bomb, but I do have a Letho. I can then use Letho to absorb these 2 cards and then protect them from resets or ignis or scorches and that type of thing, prolonging the game a little bit. So Letho can still be useful even if I don't have the Dimeritium Bomb combo with him. And then also, I just try to play spies. That's why I have a Rot Tosser in here. Letho also counts as a spy and will buff the Imperial Brigades. This guy buffs when he destroys a spying unit. So basically, this is a very simple Nilfgaard spy deck with Roach thrown in and the Imperial Golems thrown in, which are your mulligan cards. You don't want to play them in your hand. Those get automatically drawn. And then my silvers that I chose Fringilla Vigo. She's useful quite a bit, in especially if I'm playing heavy spies. I can play the pikemen on the row with the Imperial Brigades, and then I can, if this, for example, was 28 points, I could then play Fringilla Vigo and make this pikeman 28 points. And so a good combo there is to have, play all 4 of your spies, have both brigades out there, have 48 points, then play Fringilla Vigo next to a pikeman. You add another 24 points. Now you're at almost 70 points, and then you eat them with Letho, and Letho's now almost an 80-point card. So you can really do some high-level combos there with Fringilla Vigo, and that's why she's in there. But I could definitely understand if someone, took out Fringilla Vigo, maybe took out Cynthia, you could take out Olgierd if you wanted, even, or Roach, maybe. I would definitely leave Peter in there. He's very useful as a Nilfgaardian card because he resets a unit. He's almost like a Dimeritium Bomb. He's pretty useful to have, especially since Amir's power is to pull cards back and reuse them. You can essentially use this card twice, which is really nice. So I wouldn't get rid of him, but I might even play this on stream just for fun to see how it goes. But you could easily get rid of Fringilla, Cynthia, and Olgierd or Roach, and you could play the Witchers. You could play the other Witchers, Lambert, Eskel, and Vesemir, and maybe save a play for the third round. Because a lot of the games you go here are third-round games. So that's a lot of examples of how you would use Letho on your side and how you would win even if you aren't lucky and you grab both the Dimeritium Bomb and Letho. Generally, as I'm playing, if I don't get Letho or the Dimeritium Bomb in the first round, I assume that I'm not going to get both. Luckily, the deck is pretty small, so usually I will get one of the two, but sometimes you don't, and sometimes you got to go completely based off spies. So, because Letho really, this deck's power is really in playing him as a spy and not so much aiding your own cards, although that does come in handy sometimes. It's a pretty rare occurrence, and as such, I think it's much better to play as a spy deck, a good spy deck, if you don't get Letho or a Dimeritium Bomb to begin with. Because even by itself, the Dimeritium Bomb is useful because it'll reset 3 cards. So, you play monsters or you play like an Axeman deck with Skellige that use a lot of boost. Your Dimeritium Bomb is useful even without Letho, and then I gave a few examples of how Letho is useful even without the Dimeritium Bomb. But if you don't have either, you really got to focus on getting as much power as you can out of your spies, and that's the general deck here. So you guys can see my deck formation here. Now let's take a look at some examples of the actual Letho being used as a spy against an enemy team. So this first video I'm going to show you is me fighting a Consume Monsters deck. I'm sure you guys have ran into this a lot as you climb the ladder. It's a pretty popular deck. It involves, playing a lot of Arakas and boosting up Neckers and that sort of thing. So as you can see, I drew a Golem and I drew a Roach to start with. Those cards in my deck, you definitely just mulligan right away. Got a Geralt, that's good. And then I got a Rot Tosser. I already have a Dimeritium Bomb, so I'm pretty happy. Usually these guys don't play weather, so I'm going to mulligan one of those out, and I got a Thunderbolt Potion. Generally, this is actually not a great makeup for a first round, but I have that Dimeritium Bomb, so I'm happy at this point because the chance of me getting a Letho later on is good. The reason this is a bad first draw is because I got 2 spies, but I don't have an Imperial Brigade. So, actually I have 3 spies because the Rot Tosser also counts. So I don't get an Imperial Brigade. But you can see here I'm going to salvage this first round as I fast forward. I'm just going to play a bunch of cards to my front row here. Just try to stack up as many points as I can. You can see Roach came out because I played Triss. I'm just trying to destroy some of these cards that were resilient. And, of course, I'm playing a spy, boosting myself up. And, of course, I played my Thunderbolt Potion there to boost up my cards a little higher than him. And, of course, he passes, which is smart. So I go into the second round here with an advantage. I draw 2 cards. I draw Cynthia, and I draw another Clear Weather. I definitely do not like that Clear Weather, so I'm going to mulligan it, and I was lucky, and I got Letho. So now I know that in the third round as I go into it here, I can definitely play Letho. Now, when I draw Cynthia with monsters, I usually try to play her first in the second round, especially if they're playing Neckers, because the idea is I want to have a card advantage going into the next round, or at least try to, and ultimately, since he played a Necker that was higher than my old geared, I still have to play. So I'm going to play a Rot Tosser up here, try to get rid of his Toad, just to scare him into passing. Of course, he's up against a wall here as I have the advantage in wins, and so he can't pass before me because I could easily just play one card and win. So he has to play, so I'm kind of bleeding out some of his strategy here for Consume, trying to trigger him to use his leader as my Rot Tosser counts down. And I'm going to play my Lacerate here just to extend the game so he starts running out of options. Because even though he's in the lead, he can't pass because he doesn't know what I have. And I could beat him right now if he passed by just playing Geralt. So he has to do something. You can see that he's thinking. Speed it up a little bit. You'll see he does eventually play his leader. He consumes the cards. And as he consumes all these cards, I pass, I let him go forward. I still don't end with a card advantage, but I did get rid of his consume ability there, because you'll see as we fast forward into the third round here, you'll see that one of the most important things is that he plays as many boosts as he possibly can before I need to play Letho. So one of the disadvantages of this Letho deck is that essentially Letho and Dimeritium Bomb are one card because they're only functional if you play them together. So even though we have the same amount of cards, I am at a card disadvantage, so to speak, because he has one extra card that gives him points where my Dimeritium Bomb does not. So there's sometimes where you'll be playing Letho and they'll have a Thunderbolt Potion or something as their last card, and then I have to eat their cards with Letho, and they'll still be able to boost it up or damage cards of mine, and it won't be enough for me to catch back up. And luckily, that's not going to be the case here. As you can see, he played really annoying Weather. I hate Weather in Gwent. I can make a whole video about how much I hate Weather in Gwent, but I'm not going to right now. And so I play Peter, and I restore a card, get rid of the Akimara completely. It's out of the game. You can see right now, he's thinking about what he's going to do. Luckily, he's playing another Necker, which is great because he's stacking that first row, and as you know, I need Letho to eat 4 cards on that first row, so the more he puts there, the better. I'm now going to play my leader. I'm going to bring back Peter, who will then restore his health, and then I'm going to play my Clear Weather on that row to boost up my guys. And as you can see, really what I'm doing here is I'm just extending the game. I'm just trying to make the game as long as possible so he will have no choice but to boost those 3 cards as much as he can. Not give him a lot of options, but to buff up that first assault row there so Letho can do the most maximum impact possible. So you can see he's going to reset the guy I just boosted with Peter. That's fine. There's no more Weather on that row. I'll play Peter again. I'll boost up another one of my cards just to give me points because you never know what his last card is. And here you can see an example of he has 1 card left, and it actually works out great in my favor. Now I'm going to play Letho up there on his first row. Letho will then eat those cards. He'll banish the cards from the game, which means those Neckers don't trigger their Death Wish. They're just removed from the game. He has to pass, but he's in the lead. And my final card here is a Dimeritium Bomb, which resets Letho to 1, which is his base power when spying, making me win this round 32-1. A great victory for me right there. So that's a really in-depth example of how Letho works. Let's look at another example here versus monsters. This is the Aridin leader for monsters. This is kind of a hybrid consume Weather deck depending on where people go, but it's another deck that Letho's really good against. I'm going to fast forward here to the third round. You can see in the third round here he's got some units on the board already, some golems that have death wishes. He's got a ghoul there that has consumed. And again, I've just played up to the point where I'm trying to extend the game. And so he's obviously got a card advantage here over me, so I'm really have to hope that Letho does his job. And what I'm doing here is different than the last time. Pause it real quick. What I'm doing is I assume that his last 2 cards are boost cards. I'm assuming that he will play something that has Thunderbolt Potion or that will boost those cards. Because a lot of times, strength in numbers for this type of pack. So I play Letho here. I banish those 4 cards from the game. He then is reading it. A lot of people read the card. They don't know what to do. And of course, then he's going to play out. He's going to consume something from my graveyard. He's going to boost it up. And this is an example of why I played Letho before my leader. I knew he had something that would give him more power. That's the whole plan. And so by playing, that card right there, it went from 5 to 11. I Dimeritium Bomb it, takes Letho to 1, takes that other card back to its base power of 5, and then he just simply does not have enough power to finish out the game. As I fast forward, I just use my leader to give myself another 3 extra points by replaying my weather, and I win this round 50 to 46. But you can see this is an example here of how a well-stacked deck, Letho, can still face some problems, because he had Crones there at the end, and Crones, of course, will give you 30 points essentially, or 20 points, 20 points right off the bat, and it almost caught him up, but Letho was enough. So you can see an example here of a more tight case where Letho works. I'm going to show you another deck here. This is another monsters deck. I'm going to show you with all 3 monsters leader, just so you know. Again, I'm going to fast forward to the 3rd round, and this is definitely a weather deck here. But he's playing fog, he'll play rain, he'll play frost. It's what they do. And again, he's gonna, kind of similar to the last guy, he's going to stack his row with units that he'll then boost or try to kill. So you can see as I fast forward here, I lacerate, I take care of some of his people. He plays a woodland spirit, draws a bunch of wolves, lays down fog, I clear the weather. But you can see here that in this scenario, it appears I'm outmatched. But I'm hoping, as I play my Letho, and he consumes 4 of the cards on the side here, I play him to make sure that he eats these eggs that have death wishes, and that he eats the harpies that are boosted. And the idea here is I'm assuming he's going to play a couple Thunderbolt potions to boost up these low-powered units on the side, and he does. He boosts up his wolves. I play a spy, or I play a rot tosser here to try to get rid of his bear, because he does have a lot of points here, and depending on where he plays that Thunderbolt potion for the last point, I may not be able to reset as well as I want. But luckily, he plays this Thunderbolt potion right next to my Letho, so I can still hit him within that 3 range of my Dimeritium Bomb. So as I play my Dimeritium Bomb, of course, it resets Letho to 1, loses 20 points, resets the Harpy to 3, loses 4 points, and resets that Wolf to 1, which loses 8, which puts him 3 points behind. And then I get even luckier. My Rot Tosser does destroy his bear and gets rid of another 11 points there, making me win the round. But you can see, occasionally, people are thrown off their game by Letho, and they can still come close to winning, but Letho is just enough. He takes away so many points with that Dimeritium Bomb that he turns out to be useful in the end. Okay, let's move on from monsters here, and I'm going to show you a Nilfgaard deck. So this is a Nilfgaard reveal meta. Again, I'm going to fast forward here to the 3rd round. You can see as I'm scrolling through here, he's playing a lot of cards, doing a lot of damage. He can see every card in my hand. That's kind of the point. But the whole meta of this reveal deck is based around a card called a spotter. So what a spotter does in a reveal deck, you can see one up there at top, that's 19 points right now. Every time a card is revealed, the spotter gains is boosted by 1 point no matter where he is on in your hand, in your deck, or on the board. He'll boost himself. And I'm sure he has 3, so I'm assuming that one spotter that's 21, he just applied Quintu, gave it a shield, and gave it and gave it a boost there. He probably has 3 other spotters that are also 21. So this is the perfect example of me talking about how the card advantage is, because I need him to play as many of those spotters as possible before I play my Letho, in hopes that he plays 2 on 1 row, and I can eat 41 or 42 of his points that way. Now, spotters are generally played on separate rows. A smart player, if you're playing ranked, will play spotters on different rows to avoid Igni, or something that will, like a Letho or a Dimeritium Bomb, that will affect multiple cards by playing them on multiple rows. Generally people don't have Scorch in competitive, but it could be there. That's one of their downfalls. But you can see I'm stalling the game as long as I possibly can here. I'm gonna play my Peter again to get rid of that 1 spotter he's already played, and remove it back down to a base level of 4. And then, of course, he's going to draw another spotter, which is perfect for me, because if he hadn't had another spotter and that last card up there was a spotter, I would lose if he had 2 spotters. So he does play another spotter. Letho goes up there, eats his top row, converts his 36 points he had up there to 37 points, adding the 1 from Letho. He plays his second spotter. All seems lost for me, but luckily I have the Dimeritium Bomb, which gets rid of 36 of his points, which makes me win by 4 points. And you can see here, that's a great example of how Letho can quickly remove a huge point deficit from the game. Now, the last video I'm going to show you here is just my favorite use of Letho. This is just a filthy use of Letho. So this is against Scoia'tael. This is turns out to be a dwarves meta where they're going to play a lot of dwarves cards and boost them a lot and make them resilient. You can see my initial draw here. I got a Dimeritium Bomb. I get rid of one of my spies because I don't have an Imperial Brigade, and I get Letho. Super lucky mulligan right there. And that's now I have both Letho and Dimeritium Bomb in the first round in my hand, and that's the only reason I could even be this aggressive with Letho. So if you've never played the Dwarves meta, you're a very lucky person. Here's the general idea behind it. Scoia'tael will play a ton of resistant dwarves, which means that they persist into the next round. The hope is that they will play so many points in the first round with these resistant dwarves by using characters like Barclay Elves right there that just boosted a dwarf, and then stacking them on a same row and using multiple Thunderbolt potions, that the other player, I, myself, will run out of cards, essentially, trying to win the first round, and because they're resilient, in the second round, I will not have enough cards to compete. So if they get, excess of 100 points in the first round and have, 80 of those points be resilient, they basically win the first and second rounds with really not even trying. And it's actually a really great strategy, and this is one of the ways that Letho can come in handy. So you can see here already, she's playing right into my hand, where she is played she's moved the dwarves down to the first row, and there's 27 points there already, and those are her only 2 resilient dwarves. Now I'm waiting for her, as I fast forward a little bit, I'm waiting for her to play a few more dwarves, and you can see there's 3 of them there that are now resilient, and I know she's got Thunderbolt potions, and they're going to be useless against a gold, and there's 4 cards exactly on that row, so I'm going to play my Letho now, banish all 4 of those, they remove from the game, they're no longer resilient, and of course, this traditional, I need to read what Letho did because my entire strategy was just ruined. She'll go ahead and she'll play her leader card here just to keep the game moving, so she has more points than me. And then I play the Dimeritium Bomb, reset Letho to 1. She loses 33 points. She knows what's happened. Her entire meta deck right there has been destroyed. They quit right away, and that's an easy victory for me. So there's some great examples right there of the Letho deck. I hope you guys liked this video. I would definitely recommend playing the Letho deck. I think it's a ton of fun. It doesn't work all the time, but the times that it does, it's super satisfying, and it's just a fun card to play. You don't see it that often in the actual game, and so it kind of comes as a surprise a lot of times to your opponents who don't expect it to happen. So guys, if you like this video, or if you think I can improve my deck in some way, or you want me to try new things, please leave a comment below. I'd appreciate it. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate that as well. If you want to come hang out in Twitch chat sometime, I stream a lot of Gwent. You can come see me at twitch.tv/ZSwigs. I stream almost every day, and you can come hang out with me and play some fun games. And I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.